So Byron Duckwall and Katya Grineva are going to be playing a soiree, Themes from Nature. It's going to be at Carnegie Hall on Sunday, the 29th of September at 2 p.m. at Weill Recital Hall in Carnegie Hall. And I guess you can get information at katyacds.com. Right?
No, you go to carnegiehall.org.
Carnegie.org.
Okay, Carnegie.org.
Carnegiehall.org.
Carnegie, he liked to call it.
Carnegie.
But it makes too confusing. Carnegie. Let's stick with Carnegie. Carnegie Hall and Carnegie.org. And then
I think it's carnegiehall.org.
Carnegiehall.org.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, there you go. And they'll find it because they love you. They love you guys. They really want to see you, so they'll figure it out. And you can go to your Katya CDs and masterthecello.com. And Byron, you were here with your cello about a year ago, right? And you played for us. Is there something natural? Does the cello go together with the piano?
Yes, I mean it's a historical association. It's been going on for hundreds of years.
Do you agree?
Yes.
You agree, right? Why is it that? Why are those two instruments linked together?
Well, that's
an
interesting question. You know,
goes back so far, it's hard to figure it out.
Well, it's there. Yeah, I mean, the occurrence of cello playing with piano predates even piano, and it's like, even cello.
Yeah.
So when the first cellos and the modern pianos began to develop, it was all very organic. They started, first like the Bach sonatas were done with harpsichords.
I see.
And
right.
and then it began
pianoforte. I was reading about them in the 19th century.
And there were pianofortes back 200 years ago were very different than modern pianos.
Yeah, I'm just learning that. Right, they were very popular in the 19th
they were much
century.
Quieter.
Yeah.
They were more subtle.
New York was a piano city. It had lots of piano factories, and any educated household would be one, or pretender to the throne of an educated household would have a piano.
Yeah.
Even if nobody could play it, somebody could play it.
Yeah, that was
Same
common
in Russia.
the 40s.
Same in Russia, right? Same thing. Everybody had to have a piano.
Pianos everywhere, and there were orchestras everywhere.
Yeah. Is it? And the piano is what? I mean, kids they start two instruments. I noticed they start them on clarinet and piano.
Really? I thought it was piano and guitar.
You think it's guitar? Might be guitar took over. I think
because
in
it's
the 70s.
a chord instrument. So is piano.
You can play. It's easier to play that way.
Yeah, you can play a whole,
right.
chord. Whereas the cello can play chords too, but it's more of a line instrument, like a singer.
Okay, which is a different kind of skill.
Right. Totally.
Right. Do you play mostly the black keys or the white keys?
You play both keys. Come on.
There's no one. You don't have a lean towards one or the other. One group.
Sometimes in the morning I think I'm just going to play white keys, and then in the afternoon I'll just play black keys. No, I'm joking. Of course.
I just had to bring that up. That was something friends of mine who were musicians once used to talk about, and I always wondered if there was anything to it, or they were just pulling my leg.
He was pulling your leg.
They were pulling my leg.
I did hear a funny joke about that because I went to see this very famous jazz musician. And he was famous for being able to play multiple horns at the same time.
Really?
And he said this next piece is called Blackness. And he says, if you hear any white keys, those is accidentals.
So that's interesting. Right. That's the way jazz musicians talk that way, I think. All right, cool. And we've gone a little about your history. I mean, it's so fascinating. Just the quick version. Byron, you came from family of musicians.
Right. My father's a conductor. My mother's a violinist. My brother's a violinist.
And you picked the cello. You wanted to be different.
My father also played cello.
Okay, so you followed.
It was kind of my father because my father was there.
They
gave me the freedom to play anything, though.
Did your dad teach you a little bit, or?
Yeah, he was my first teacher.
Right, and it worked out?
Yeah, but then he immediately, after a year, he took me to the university. So I started to study at the university when I was like 7.
Okay, right. You showed some talent.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but he took me there.
Well, he must have. You must have showed talent at a very young age.
I guess.
Right.
But anyway, I just love. He
It runs
took
in the
me.
family. Does it run in the family?
I had a German cello teacher, and I loved him.
Uh-huh.
And he smoked a big cigar, and he sat there, and just the smell and the environment. It's
Right.
ingrained in me. I just loved the whole experience.
Right. My violin teacher used to spit on the floor, and I switched to bass guitar after that.
No, he
That's
didn't
the
do
effect.
that.
That's the effect it can have a teacher. It's very important, though, right?
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah.
His name was Hans Coble. He was a.
I still remember him. And you came from a doctor family, so was music really, besides listening, was it playing music in your family? In the
No,
blood?
my father was a scientist, cancer
Right.
research scientist.
Right, I
but-
thought he was a doctor, but he was
Well, it's close enough.
Close enough. Right.
But no, my parents, they loved arts and music, but
Mhm.
they were not musicians. But they went to the best concerts all the time, and the music
Mhm.
was always playing. And then we had friends who were very great musicians at that time, like Alfred Schnittke. He
Mhm.
probably was one of the most important composers of 20th century. Was a
Mhm.
personal friend, and he would
Ah.
come home for dinner.
Right.
So, like, we were surrounded by very great people. So
Right.
that was very important.
And
And
they
of course,
noticed
we
your
went to
talent.
Moscow Conservatory for concerts
Right.
all the time.
Did they sit you at the piano and watch you play on it and say you have talent and let's put some time?
Oh, those
into this?
people who are great, like accomplished musicians, they told my parents. They really didn't know.
They didn't know.
They
Oh,
didn't know.
they noticed it.
Yeah.
Your parents didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know.
Right. They were just
I just
plinking away
loved
on the
it.
piano. And
I
they,
just loved it.
Yeah. That's interesting. How could they tell at a very young age when you plink on it? Like everybody plinks on it, and sometimes parents put it away. Like get out of here! Get Lisa Simpson. Every time she plays, her father screams, "Shut up!" But some people can hear it, right? Underneath all the playing around and plinking around, that you really do know.
I just think you have just natural touch or something. Like I always had that natural touch for the piano, and I always loved it. So
you naturally
yeah.
fell right into it.
Yeah.
Right? And do you have long fingers? You have long fingers.
No, just
Not really.
normal.
Yeah, just normal,
small
not particularly
hands.
long or anything.
I don't think that's not a really big deal. It's
Yeah.
like, I think it's what you do with them.
Mhm.
Because they're pianists with very short fingers, long fingers,
Oh, right.
cellists with very long fingers, short fingers.
So
I
it
mean,
doesn't really. It's not
Misha
affected,
Ullman had
yeah.
really short fingers, one of the famous violinists.
Mhm.
And Gregor Pedagorsky had really long fingers.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really matter. It's what you do with it.
Right. What I'm getting at is that for folks who are listening, New York City is going to end its gifted program in schools, and they're going to. Some people think that's a great idea because they want to have the gifted kids in the same classrooms as the rest of us normal people. But others say this is denying people this opportunity maybe to develop these talents at a very young age.
Right.
I'm not saying if you should have an opinion on that or not. I'm not sure if I do. But how should people go about, in your opinion, right, if they have a child they think is really talented at an instrument?
to bring them to good teacher.
Right. The
Yeah,
key thing.
definitely.
Find a good teacher
Yeah.
somewhere. And where's the best way to research a good teacher? Besides
York
going
City.
to masterthecello.com. New York's got them, right? This is the
New York
place to
has
go.
them.
Well, New York has
Yeah.
great schools that have preparatory programs.
Mhm.
Juilliard and Manus, and they all have like these fantastic.
So the people are in the right place for
Yeah,
it.
like
Yeah.
young people can go there and study.
Mhm.
So
This is the place. So if you have a kid who you think has
Best
really
place in
got
the world,
talents,
yeah.
you're in the place right now to learn. Yeah, right. Good. So again, you guys will be playing. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be playing. Themes from Nature on Weill Recital Hall, Carnegie Hall, Sunday, September 29th at 2 p.m. Themes from Nature. What are themes from nature? What will you be playing?
well, see the thing is, many composers have been inspired by nature, and if you look at nature as being everything, like the planetary nature, the solar system, the galaxy. So you have the planets of Holst, you have the Clair de Lune of Debussy, but then you also have nature, which is the natural world, like the trees and the forests and the oceans, and you have La Mer of Debussy. You have the pieces we're playing, Silent Woods, Sounds of the Forest by Liszt. You see, it's all that's, and then you also have the animal kingdom, all the natural animals, and so we're playing, pieces like the Swan and the Flight of the Bumblebee and so it's all of the parts of nature,
Right.
and it's very common. I mean, look at Stravinsky, Firebird, and it's all over the literature.
Right. Animals.
Animals.
And natural life and plants growing, things like that.
Yeah, everything. So
Springtime. Stravinsky did Spring, right? That where everybody
the
walked
Rite of
out and threw
Spring.
things at him and everything.
The Sacre de Printemps is all about nature and the earth, and so it's all over the place.
Are classical audiences more receptive than they were in those days to
That's an interesting
experimental?
question. That's an interesting question.
Oh, I'm glad I came up with that. Thank you.
Well, Katya, what do you think?
Well, I think classical music, people didn't sit in front of TVs or computers. They actually went to hear concerts.
Yeah.
And they were looking forward to it. That was the
Yeah.
form of entertainment.
Sure.
So they were, of course, like the musician had way more, I think, easier life. Like Rubinstein, he just went and played hundreds of concerts. It was easy.
Right. People just went to hear it. They didn't really
people wanted to go here. Now it's just a little bit different.
Even the smallest town can have an orchestra.
Well, we've had musicians who I've read the stories of even just folk singers and everyday American musicians who got famous with a few top hits, and then their fans always wanted them to play those hits, and they had gone in a whole other direction with their music,
Right.
and they finally just stopped touring because they didn't want to get yelled at by their audience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right. But I don't think
that's still the case.
that's still the
I
case.
think it's
right?
true because, if you watch Pavarotti's concerts, he always sang few songs which everybody loved.
Yes.
And me too. Like when I played Carnegie Hall, I would always play certain things, but I loved them. I would play Chopin Fantasy Impromptu. I would play Debussy Clair de Lune. But in between, I would play something different, which maybe people didn't hear yet.
Nice. Right. But
But
they
I
always
would-
knew.
but
yeah.
People love to hear those pieces. Like I'm playing Debussy Clair de Lune at this concert, but then I'm playing Debussy Island of Joy, which maybe not so many people know. So it's something to discover.
Right.
So it's nice to have things which people can relax and say, oh, I know this piece. And then they oh, I learned something new.
Are you going to have students there again this time?
Yeah.
I saw some teachers I knew the last time I was there. I saw you guys. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I said, I know you. I saw
we'll
other
see what
teachers. They were all
happens.
coming in,
Yeah.
all music teachers I knew from
Yeah.
different schools. Yeah.
All right.
It was funny. You had them all in there. Great. So you guys have students come. You go and give tickets in various schools around the city, and I saw all the kids came in. They loved it, boy. They were lining up to get in there.
That was for a December concert because it's a bigger hall, so you can invite much more people. Yeah.
That's when you do it in December.
Yeah.
The young children don't have any prejudice about classical music.
No.
They listen and they're totally fascinated by it.
Right.
Whereas, people, I saw an interview with Hilary Hahn once, and they were saying, well, you don't play slow sarabands from Bach for these young kids? And she says, why not? They love it.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any, well, this is good, this is bad. They just look at it and go, this is amazing.
Yes. I don't even know why I didn't. I rebelled. My parents loved classical music, and it was in the 60s and 70s, and I rebelled against it. So I had to listen to something different. But when I went off to college, my friends I gravitated to who were musicians. I was always like a promoter type guy, and the musicians and the bands I would promote, they would always say to me, "We got to go see." At the University of Wisconsin had these great courses, like 1-credit course where you would sit and watch the orchestra of the university, which is pretty good, play all these things, and then there would be a professor there who would explain what it was, and then we would listen to it and explain what it was, and then we would listen to it.
That's smart.
Yeah. And all my friends were jazz musicians, and some were rock musicians. They were all listening, taking notes and everything. Oh yeah.
I played at school. I go and play a lot in schools for children.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the schools, there were really poor kids.
Yeah.
And so I played, there were maybe 200 of them. And then the teachers asked them to write notes. And they sent me the notes the kids wrote. It was amazing. Because one kid would write, oh, my favorite was Ave Maria. Then the other kid would write, my favorite was Rachmaninoff. They all picked their different favorites, and they were I was so impressed. And one kid wrote, will you meet me in Paris? It was 10-year-old
They
kid.
understood.
He said,
your
I
style.
really like French music. Would you meet me in Paris?
They
It was
understood
so
your style.
sweet.
And of course, you have a romantic style, so of course they would think that.
But every kid picked different piece.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I know this like Mozart Turkish march. No, they all had different
That they liked,
preferences,
right?
and
they actually did like
and they
different things.
explained why.
Uh-huh.
That was amazing.
Right.
This,
Cool.
this
Yeah, I'm
it's
not
like
surprised that-
actually like children are very intelligent.
Any teacher
They
will
really
tell
pick
you,
it.
that you
Yeah.
learn. Actually, a good teacher is one who learns as much, if not more, from their students than they teach
Yeah.
them.
Mm.
That's usually the definition of a good teacher, is someone who learns.
Byron
from
is an amazing teacher.
right. You teach.
Yeah.
You teach kids who are talented but budding talents how to play cello, or they're already well
No, I
along,
tend to teach
Everything.
professionals,
Uh-huh.
people who are in the
remember we were
business
talking
and
about
very
this.
lifelong commitments to it,
Yeah.
but have issues they can't solve. And I'm kind of like the troubleshooter, the fixer,
Right.
and I fix things that they didn't think they could fix.
Right.
So
Some run that they couldn't do, or some note they couldn't reach,
Or some technique, some
Yeah.
bowing technique, or some left-hand technique.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's going to teach at Juilliard the master class.
Yeah.
In
Uh-huh.
October.
Bard College
Yeah.
in the second, right
Uh-huh.
after doing a group, big seminar on
Right.
advanced techniques.
What's a good number? Do you teach one-on-one, or do you have actual numbers of students?
I generally, when I'm privately teaching, like today, I had a student today, and I teach one-on-one.
Mhm.
But these group classes are also very, very good
Mhm.
because they introduce you to a bunch of concepts
Yeah.
all at once,
Uh-huh.
and you can just download all this stuff into people. But then, if they want to really master it,
Uh-huh.
they
It's
have
good
to
go one-on-one.
they have to come to someone who knows how to do it.
Interesting. Do you teach at all, or do you mostly just work on your music?
I concertize.
You
right now,
concertize. You're always
yeah.
doing concerts. Well, we got 2 minutes left. Any travels? Any places you're heading? And you're always. I'm seeing you're in Africa one day, you're in the Far East the other day, and then you're up in California and.
Yeah, I think October and November I'm going to travel
Mhm.
to Georgia, Sea Island, and then California for a couple of weeks.
All right, great.
But then I'm preparing like this big holiday concert in December.
Right, you're
December
you're regular-
27, yeah.
Which number is this?
It will be
19.
19.
Number 19.
I haven't forgot.
At Carnegie Hall 19 times. Wow, wonderful. And so again, just to remind people, Katya Grineva and Byron Duckwall will be playing their Soirée themes from nature with Schubert, Rachmaninoff, Rimsky-Korsakov, Schumann, Dvorak, Dvorak, Saint-Saëns, and Debussy, and Liszt. All right, I'm working on it. Byron Duckwall, Katya Grineva, Carnegie Hall, Sunday, September 29th. Go to carnegiehall.org to find out about it, get tickets. You can go to their websites, katyacds.com and masterthecello.com. Wow, cool. And I suggest you go, because I go all the time, and I just love their performances. They're very amazing, very copacetic. So you got my endorsement.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And any last words in the last 10 seconds of the show?
Come to the concert.
Right, bring
Actually-
kids will love
2
it.
p.m. on the 29th.
Actually, with this concert, we were raising money to bring children to
Yes.
holiday
Yes,
concert.
to Carnegie Hall.
To bring like poor kids,
All the
underprivileged
profits
children.
go to bring children
Wow.
to Carnegie.
Oh, I'm sorry we didn't say that. I'll put it on the DVD, though. I'll put it on the YouTube. All right, cool. We did it. We're done.
Thank you.
Okay, remember your mics.
Okay.